Let's podcast alongside Lauren Brownlow, who's filling in for Joe Giglio today. I'm Joe Ovies. We are inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. It's not too late to do an assessment on how things are going in 2024 for your small to medium-sized business. You can save a lot of money by using Copiers Plus. So get that print assessment at copiers-plus.com. What up? I feel like it's been a while since we've chatted.
It has been a while. So much so that, like, when I was here on Monday, I was like, what's going on? There's a code on the door? Like, what's happening?
Oh, yeah. We've changed some things in the building and whatnot. I texted you last week when I was at Sedgefield for the Wyndham Championship. And
my former home base, sure.
Well, and that's why I texted you as I was looking around. I just thought to myself, there's always that conversation about nature versus nurture. Right. And especially when you have your own kids.
Right.
And you think, you're kind of putting the things in place that.
But you also definitely see qualities in your kid that you're like, oh, that's me. Whoops.
Oh, I mean, heck, I had that conversation with Caleb this morning where a group of his fellow marching band kids went to a trivia night.
Yeah.
And it's like all the guys that I know he hangs out with. And I'm like, dude, why didn't you want to go? You should have told me. He's like, I spend all day with them. I'm good. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Oh, that is like you.
You're so me.
Because I have the same thought. I'm like, wow, trivia night. That sounds awesome. Like,
yeah, but I've hung out with you guys all day. He's like, I just want to go home. I'm like,
that's you. That's you.
Dang, dude, you really are me sometimes.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. But as I was looking around and as I texted you, it was, there's a different timeline, an MCU timeline where you actually end up being a Sedgefield lady of leisure.
Lady of leisure.
Where you're wearing the golf fit, you're hanging out in the Margaritaville. You clearly are playing bunco with this group of women.
Sure.
And whatnot. Sure. There's another timeline where this ends up being you. You could have been a Sedgefield lady of leisure.
Yeah. I suppose that's true. That was just never, I always felt like, I remember growing up even as a especially as a preteen, teenager, awkward, braces, glasses, all that, just looking around and being like, everyone's staring at me because I don't belong here. I just remember thinking that constantly there, just being like, I am so awkward right now. I do not belong here.
I get it. I mean, look.
So I don't know what timeline that is. Maybe one where I didn't need glasses and braces.
Maybe that's the case, but I also couldn't see you rocking the Lily Pulitzer or whatever the fits were that I saw. I mean, look, I get this too. I mean, the way my dad was, my brother ends up being a little bit more like my dad than I am because my dad loves going to various sporting events. People who listen to the podcast or have known how I talk about my dad, they all understand he is hardcore into going to events. He loves going to events.
Yeah.
He doesn't mind spending $5,000 to an F1 race down in Miami.
Talking about that, I was like, oh, wow.
That's a little too much for me, but hey, man, I get it. He wants to see this race at Joe Robbie Stadium. Totally understand.
I agree. I'm with him on the whole, I like to have experiences thing.
Totally.
The money part's where we differ, but
money ends up becoming a little bit of an issue, but then again, I didn't work at IBM for decades and then transfer over to Lenovo and I'm double dipping on retirement. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. But my dad was very big into buying merch. He still is. He wants a hat. He wants a pin. He wants the jersey. He loves the jersey. He has a jersey to, how Jonathan Jones used to do the
random jersey watch. Sure.
Yeah. He would go to a Panthers game and somebody for some reason's wearing, I don't know, a San Francisco 49ers jersey to a game that features the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers.
Cowboys is a frequent one, but it would always be who the Cowboys player is too. That makes part of it, the random jersey watch. And then,
my dad could never be Rob Lowe where he just shows up to an event with, here's the sport logo that I'm watching.
I feel like if you wear a random jersey to a sporting event without that team there, you might as well just be wearing the NFL hat.
That's what I'm saying. That's what he should do. My dad will go to a minor league baseball game in Cardinals gear. And the Cardinals minor league organization is not there, but it's his baseball fit.
That just suggests I support baseball.
That's really cool. It. So he is all about buying this stuff.
Yeah.
When I've gone to various Final Fours, back when I hit a couple Super Bowl radio rows, his whole thing was bring me back a program. Okay, fine. Whatever.
I get that.
My brother is somewhat adjacent to that because he also started buying jerseys, much like my dad was one to buy jerseys. I couldn't tell you the last time I bought a jersey.
I have 2 maybe.
the Miami Heat will come out with some new colorway, their Miami Vice, whatever. And my brother will send me a text with like, I got to get this. I'm like, I guess, like, when are you going to wear this? Like, oh, when I go to a game. He'll go to he's down in Orlando. He'll go to a Magic game or something like that. And I guess he's wearing Heat gear.
I love the idea of wearing a basketball jersey.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't, I mean, it's shocking. I know they don't look good on me. So I wouldn't, I've worn football once, but this will not shock anyone to learn that they don't make them so well for women. Maybe they've changed since, but like I thought they all looked like the Maya UNC basketball dress. Or the Mariah Carey.
When
I saw that, I'm like, they need to mass market that. Like everyone, because that was popular back at the time too, like that kind of style.
Well, I recently worked a show at Walnut Creek for some of the queens of R&B, and Maya was part of it. But because I was working the Enlow marching band booth, I was not able to see what Maya was wearing. I just heard like the 2 songs that I know from Maya. And I was just hoping, like, if you don't come out in North Carolina wearing that dress.
Well, she probably forgot that she even
it's an iconic dress. She's reworn it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, she absolutely has.
In the last decade?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
Maybe so then, you would think.
But the back to the jersey thing and the nature versus nurture, and walking around and seeing what the youths of today are wearing, or what I'll see when I go into a vintage shop, I feel like, and my brother and I have talked about this, we could raid my dad's collection and make a mint off of the stuff that he has in his collection.
Yeah.
Because it's the kind of stuff that I guess the 20-somethings are very much picking up.
That's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Like the beat up white sneakers with the socks that are showing, they'll wear, and they won't even put last time I was at, I noticed I went to Universal Studios.
Yeah.
And while we were in line, there was a group of clearly 20-something, early 20s, late teens guys. And the whole fit consists of a Detroit Pistons conference champions hat they picked up somewhere, wearing a Philadelphia Eagles chunky sweater from Champion. Like, it's all mismatched. It's not like I'm just in an outfit today. It's just like, that's a cool hat. I like the logo. Boom, I'll put it on. Hey, I like that sweater. It's vintage. Let me put that on.
I'm more apt to if I like the logo.
Just the logo?
Yeah, I don't care about the LA Dodgers.
Yeah.
But I have LA Dodgers stuff because I like the way it looks. I like a hat, a Dodgers hat is sick.
I mean,
with the LA on it, it looks good. I like it.
Now you're just taking me back to high school where everybody was wearing a White Sox hat because it was the black White Sox hat.
And I never really understood the appeal of that personally, but.
The Black Sox hat?
Nah.
I mean, it was a way to differentiate from wearing like an LA Kings. I had an LA Kings black hat because it looked good. When they went to the black jerseys with Wayne Gretzky, I mean, that was the look back then.
Yeah.
Clearly the look back then. But all these looks are coming back, and I kind of kick myself for not keeping a lot of the stuff that I might have had back in the day. Because like last night, there was with the Olympics, I don't know about you, but I'm struggling without Olympics on TV.
I miss it so much. I've almost opened Peacock first thing in the morning when I wake up like several times. And then I'm like, oh, right, I can't. It's no longer on.
So the Olympics for me were just perfect, mindless television on in the background. If something cool happens, I would look up. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Caught that. Because Dimitri had asked me this. We did a OG on business yesterday. He had asked me how I was consuming the Olympics. And I was like, I was doing it the traditional way. I wasn't doing it on Peacock.
I did not watch a second of it on actual television.
Really?
All Peacock. It was really easy to use, actually. Sure. And like super, you just hop out of one hub or like one event finishes, you hop out of it. Go see what's on, basically. You don't even have to channel search.
So as I'm thinking about the Olympics, I thought to myself, man, if I still had my Atlanta 1996 merchandise, I could probably make a lot of money off it.
I still have something. I think it's my keychain, maybe.
Oh, really?
That like my parents brought back or something, I think.
Either I'd make money on it or the 16-year-old would take it.
Yeah.
So last night, since we were bored and there was really nothing on TV, I turned on Vivo on Hulu. So Vivo is like the MTV streaming.
Oh.
And you can see it on YouTube, right? So Hulu Live has a collection of Vivo channels. They've got Vivo 80s, Vivo 90s, Vivo Pop, etc.
So like what MTV was originally, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Cool.
Basically, yeah. So
I've been showing my kid music videos recently.
Nice.
I'm like, this was very famous or whatever. Yeah.
So they had something on Woodstock 94 because apparently it's the 30th anniversary of Woodstock 94 this week.
Oh boy.
Which I had a moment.
I remember the 30th anniversary for the actual Woodstock.
Right.
Well.
And I'm having this moment. I'm like, well, wait a minute. excuse me, I'm having this moment where I'm like, well, wait a minute. We're doing a 30-year anniversary of
Why
Woodstock
were we doing
94.
it for that one? That wasn't like,
well,
it wasn't what the other Woodstock was. Let's put it that way.
It was and it wasn't. So I'm having this moment of 30 years of Woodstock. That Woodstock 94, we're further away from Woodstock 94 than we are from Woodstock 94 being as far away from the original Woodstock.
I can't with you.
Woodstock 94 was 25 years after the original Woodstock. We're now 30 years from Woodstock 94. So yeah, I'm having a problem.
I have a problem now.
I'm having a problem.
Yeah.
But Viva wasn't showing actual performances from Woodstock 94. So it was just artists who played from Woodstock 94.
Which makes sense,
I was bummed by that. So I said, screw this. So I opened up YouTube. I'm like, all right, Caleb, let's take you into a time capsule.
Oh boy, yeah.
And show you stuff from 1994. So on YouTube, they have like the full Woodstock 94 movie. And fast forwarding, I'm like, I don't care about that. We ended up on Cypress Hill. Of course, Caleb, like, oh yeah, Cypress Hill, cool. And B Real is wearing this outfit that I swear just about everybody.
You can see it on the street right now.
I'm seeing it on Antelope right now.
Yeah. It's wild.
I'm seeing it right now, and it's killing me because I had all this stuff. Like I had 9 Inch Nails shirts from back in '94. Caleb has rated a good chunk of stuff. He's got like an old Queens of the Stone Age shirt that I have. He bought a fake vintage Soundgarden t-shirt.
Wow.
I remember there's a vintage shop in downtown Raleigh called Trunk Show. And they did a pop-up market, and they had a Woodstock 94 t-shirt. And I wanted to buy it until I saw what the price for a white t-shirt was from Woodstock 94.
Well, I was going to say that probably
have to be $80.
That's not surprising. Yeah. I was going to guess 50, but I figured
it was $80. I had it in my hand. I was going to buy it because it was my size. It was extra large. And I was like, cool. And the guy's like, oh yeah, that's a great shirt, right? And I'm like, yeah. How much? Yeah, it's $80. I'm like, you're going right back.
Hit up one of those weekend markets at the fairground. I'm sure you could find some cool stuff.
Yeah, I could probably do that.
For cheaper.
But again, that's where the nature versus nurture thing comes in, because while the 16-year-old is somewhat, okay, I'm kind of into these bands. I'm into this particular kind of thing.
Yeah.
The 13-year-old has zero interest in any of that stuff.
Really?
Zero interest in any of that stuff.
Yeah.
He's all about the deep fried memes and, hockey.
Deep fried memes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced this with Alex.
No, he
where
did.
There's
he
memes
started
within
saying,
memes.
Wait, what do you mean? I don't know this. No.
So for
he's
us,
not showing me memes.
So for us, for our age, we're the basics, right?
Yeah.
Like we have those macro images. We have the
I've
GIFs.
shown him more memes than he's shown me.
So, but once you get into their age range, especially like the Gen Z, Gen Alpha, it's what I call deep fried memes. They're references to memes with their own spin on the memes. And they're so cracked out that I don't understand the joke, but because they can do the autopsy on that references this, which references this, and then that references that, they think it's funny.
It's
Alex
like
a 3-level deep meme reference.
A little bit, where he did this to me one day recently, and he's like, the baby thing. I was like,
no,
what?
I don't.
He's like, the baby, when he's like, he's excited and he's like,
yes.
And I'm like, did we just do that now? And I'm supposed to know that? Like, what?
Yeah, apparently.
He's like, it's a meme, Mom. I'm like, you don't think I know that? I know it.
Yeah, apparently that's the case.
Oh my God.
So if you take anything from this conversation, when you buy sports merch, when you buy concert merch, keep it regardless. Keep it. Just keep it. Because the stuff that you did not think would become vintage, the stuff that you thought that would not become cool, will suddenly become cool, and you're probably sitting on a lot of money on a concert t-shirt from 1994.
I had a white t-shirt a white Garth Brooks t-shirt with an enormous Garth Brooks head.
Yeah.
Just looking straight at you with the eyes, the hat, the shirt, two-tone shirt, everything from his concert that I went to. And an ex of mine hated it. He's like, he's staring at me. Like, he's just, please. And I ended up getting rid of it for that ex. Don't make that mistake.
Don't make that mistake.
Because I still think about that shirt. I still miss it.
That's a good shirt, and it's back in style. All you got to do is go to a Hot Topic and see what they got on the wall. And they're just the style of t-shirts that were there back in the day. Like, I don't know if you remember the one. They're almost airbrushed.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
They're almost airbrushed. They're black, heavy cotton shirts that are almost airbrushed. Those seem to be back.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing that I'm hoping that eventually comes back, I know Breaking Tees messed around with it a little bit.
Yeah.
But you remember the sports t-shirts where they were characters with like a big head?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. I had an Ozzie Smith one.
Yeah.
I had this Ozzie Smith one. It was this
never liked
caricature of
those
Ozzie
shirts.
Smith.
Even then I didn't.
Oh, but they would be the hot shit now.
See, not good enough reason for me. But yeah, I understand that like some people are in. But I'm like, I see those shirts. I'm like, I'm not buying that. Looks silly.
Let's get to some housekeeping. It's brought to you by Enovana. Check them out online, ENOVANA.com. Green Cleaning Solutions.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
Enovana's going to be coming out to the house next week. I got them coming out every 2 weeks. You can do it once a month. You could do it every week. It could be a one-time thing. Just check them out, ENOVANA.com. We launched OG Fans this week, OG Triangle Media. Brownlow, you are going to be a part of OG Fans.
Yes.
We brought ACC Panic Room back.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're excited about that.
Of course.
People seem to be excited about that. People have been after us to bring back ACC Panic Room. And my general attitude was, if you like it so much, you are going to pay for it.
There you go.
So go to OGTriangleMedia.com right now. We've got a variety of tiers to choose from. For $13 a month, that is the basic entry-level tier. You get the newsletter, which will feature writing from Lauren Brownlow.
And others. But yes.
And Panic Room.
Yes.
It'll have Joe Giglio on NC State and the rest of the ACC. Tom Edwards is going to be writing Carolina Hurricane stuff for us. We will have OG on Business, which is something that Dimitri and I do. One of those episodes is out today. Law of the Wolf will be out there. So you get newsletters, and podcasts. The free stuff that's been free will remain free. This is just an added level of what we're doing here at OG Triangle Media. And just for $13 a month, you get all those goodies. You can save by buying a year's worth of OG Fans. You'll get 12 months for the price of 11. We also have the Founders tier, which is $200. You get the newsletter and the podcast for the entire year. You will also get some exclusive gifts, a brand new hat, not the one that we have access to, but it's a brand new OG Founders hat, a tote bag, because you can't have enough reusable bags. And maybe we'll throw some other goodies in there as well. And then, of course, we have the $7,000 tier, which is you coming with us to Disneyland.
That's wild.
I don't think we have not had somebody drop $7,000 yet. Somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to do it, Lauren.
I don't know. Times are tough, you know?
That's a fair point. We're already asking a lot for you to sponsor and to spend money on OG Fans.
Everything costs a lot of money nowadays.
Including Disney. That's why it's $7,000. We got the podcast festival coming up. TheRialto.com is where you can buy your tickets. It is less than 2 weeks away. Very, very excited about getting to week 0. And we'll have Shutdown Fullcast there. Hand in the Dirt, we are going to be there. We're going to have a bourbon giveaway thanks to your Full of Shit Giglio. Debbie Yao is going to sit down with us specifically. Lauren, you're a Fullcast fan.
Yeah.
You know all about the Fullcast. And there's a controlled chaos about them that people will enjoy at the
I don't know
Rialto.
how controlled it is.
And maybe it's just chaos. Maybe
And
I'm
that's
giving
okay.
them. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit.
The chaos is the point.
Yes, this is true. This is true. So go buy your tickets today. Time is running out. There's probably an OG Fans special in there too that Dimitri's cooking up. So be on the lookout for that. If you've signed up for OG Fans, and we've got our first newsletter coming out, just kind of tell you where everything is going. And while we're at the podcast festival, which is brought to you by Breeze Through, check them out at breezethrough.com. We can't do this podcast festival without them. Home Field's going to be in the house. You can go to homefieldapparel.com right now. You can get all sorts of new goodies that are out. They got these football starter packs. They've got hats. The hoodies are always great. We will have an exclusive hoodie at the podcast festival from Home Field that you can buy on the spot. In the meantime, go to the website, use that promo code OG24 to save 15% off your order.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's cool to have a business involved like them that really does understand most college football fans.
Yeah, they get college football fans.
They get you.
They really do. They absolutely do. And we're going to be out at Happy and Hale tomorrow. OG Live is going to come your way at 1 o'clock tomorrow, Thursday, at the Happy and Hale over off Six Forks Road. So come check it out. Check out their new burger bowl. I haven't had it yet. I'm looking forward to trying that out on Thursday. If you're just looking to pick up and go, download the app because it'll save you a lot of time.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hale.
And of course, we thank Matt Davis over at State Farm. Check him out online. InsureGarner.com, 919-779-8277 is how you can contact him directly. Yes, an actual human on the other end of the line. It happens. It's still a real thing. And it's all with InsureGarner.com, TheOGInsurance.com, Matt Davis over at State Farm. Over to the NFL, where we've got the Carolina Panthers wrapping up training camp this week, and they'll have a joint practice against the New York Jets on Thursday. They'll have their preseason game at Bank of America Stadium, and then they'll wrap things up. I think it gets the Buffalo Bills. I don't have the preseason schedule in front of me. I think it's the Bills.
You know what I don't want to have in front of me?
What they wrap up.
The preseason schedule.
Why? What is the issue?
Okay. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
This weekend, we pretty active weekend, doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Get home from seeing Harold and the Purple Crayon. Talk about waste my time. Anyway, it's fine. It wasn't that bad.
I don't even know what that is.
Harold and you remember that book, Harold and the Purple Crayon?
No.
He can draw anything he wants with a crayon and it comes to life.
Oh, okay.
So that dude, that Zach Levi dude is anyway, whatever.
Okay, sure.
I've already said more than I need to about the movie.
Sure.
Wasn't very good. So I get home and I'm like, oh God, I gotta watch that preseason game from the other night. I'd been putting it off. Finally, after my kid goes to bed, because I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to watch it right now. We watched season 1 of Stranger Things instead.
Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to settle in on a Saturday night?
It's Saturday, afternoon, but yeah.
Okay.
Whatever.
Saturday afternoon.
Later.
Get yourself
But Saturday
something.
night, I settle in. Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm settling in.
Take
Finally.
half a gummy.
I did not. I could not do that for that because
Maybe you should.
then I wouldn't have been. Maybe I should have.
Maybe you're doing preseason wrong.
And I'm watching this and I'm like, wait, Jack Plummer?
Yeah.
Bro. I got to watch him the whole game?
Yeah.
No offense to Jack and his family.
Sure.
He did his best, I guess. I'm like, I got to watch backups from a football team that won one game last year. I got to watch your second and third string dudes out here. And I'm supposed to pay. It was, by the way, 3 hours and 37 minutes on my recording device. Who said you should just end the game? Just end the game next time. What? Why are people sitting through this? Why are you making even the team and the staff sit through this? It means stop. They would get more out of a practice, I feel like.
Well, that's what
I'm just over it.
That's what the coaches have been saying.
Stop trying to make us care about this. NFL at large. I'm not talking just because clearly a lot of teams, because the Panthers aren't the only ones.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of teams aren't playing anybody.
No.
And probably won't. Maybe one game they'll play somebody.
It just depends. It depends on the team. It depends on the coach. It depends on how they want to go about this. I do think it's interesting that the Carolina Panthers did not play any of their starters. There's 33 guys that were just not even dressed out.
On a terrible football team from last year.
So that's
no
the
starters.
So that's the curiosity. And
are they that scared of injury?
They might be, actually.
I mean, to be fair, I do get it in a sense, right? If you're so scared of getting any offensive lineman hurt because you think you're you don't have much depth, which I would assume they do think, then you obviously can't play Bryce Young because he might die.
And maybe that's what they're trying to prevent.
I think Jack Plummer doesn't fear for his own life based on the way he was back in the pocket. As Steve Smith said, he looks like he's waiting for an Uber back there at one point. Yeah. He's just what are we doing here, basically? Why am I meant to watch this and pay attention to it and care about it? I lasted a half. And by the way, that took 1:40.
For the half, right? I think there's two conversations taking place here. There's where we are with football coverage, and then there's the actual meat and potatoes of what the Panthers might be doing with Dave Canales in year 1.
Right.
So which one would you like to have first? A Panthers-specific conversation and Bryce Young and what exactly we're seeing this week as training camp gets ready to wrap up, or the larger conversation about the NFL?
Let's do the big picture one first, because here's my issue.
Okay.
There's 4 of these.
Yeah.
And they're football's back.
3.
Oh, 3. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. 3.
Yeah. They got rid of 1 because they extended the schedule,
God.
and they're probably going to go down to 2 preseason games when they go to 18 games.
What I want instead of that.
Yeah.
Is what I think most fans would want, especially when they hear, what do we hear about every year that happens? That's of interest in the preseason. 2 things, right? Injuries and fights.
Yeah.
Fights.
Yeah.
Fights in these intra-squad scrimmage, when they have those joint practices whatever.
Yeah.
You hear about or you hear interesting things that come out of that.
Yeah.
You don't get anything. You do sometimes. I'm not saying you never get anything good out of a preseason game, but for the most part, you're wow, I wish I could have seen that practice, or wish I could have seen that. Why don't they just do whip around coverage of these practice, these intra-squad practices? I would watch that on purpose.
So the practices, the joint practices have hit a weird inflection point where you're seeing a lot of the teams only do one joint practice. There's a correlation, a pretty direct correlation between multiple joint practices against a team and fights. In fact, we've already seen some fines.
Give me it.
Yeah.
I want it.
So you want that on television.
Yeah.
I don't know if the NFL wants that on television.
You know what? I don't care. They already give us a bunch of garbage that we're supposed to swallow and say thank you. I'm over it.
Plus, coaches are pretty secretive about this stuff, and I guess they're okay with a limited amount of tweets coming out of these joint practices rather than televising.
How secretive? Like, how big of an issue would it be though if you're practicing against another team? Like, they're not going to let another team get to know all of their intel either. So, clearly, there's not going to be anything that sensitive coming out of it.
I think the problem, big picture. And maybe this is the summer where I've actually started to see some turn against it, at least with some of the national football writers that I follow who have started to make fun of this stuff. Like, I'm a fan of Mike Tanier. Mike Tanier used to write for Football Outsiders. He has a Substack now that I enjoy reading. There's another one called Go Long on Substack that I'm a fan of. And Tanier's overall point, in fact, Kevin Clark was probably the one.
Kevin's great too, yeah.
Kevin Clark probably went the most viral about this a couple of weeks ago. And Pablo Torre also stepped into this a little bit. So let's kind of break this down in its own little way. Tanier writes almost like an annual column where he makes fun of training camp storylines. Right down to the one that Giglio and I like to make fun of, and that is these videos that come out of camp where the undrafted free agent wide receiver catches one ball and your entire timeline blows up saying, hey, they might have something special here.
Yeah.
Okay. Or last week we were joking around about Joe Milton versus Drake May. And
it's so
Giglio and I were having this moment.
The third and fourth stringers of a one-win football team.
Yes.
Are they that stupid?
So
no, they can't be.
Joe and I were having this moment last week where we can give you instances in which quarterbacks have come out of this area and people talk them up, and we're thinking to ourselves, were we watching different football than the scouts?
Right.
Like Mitch Trubisky being one of them, Daniel Jones being one of them.
Yep.
That sort of thing.
Yes.
And we're seeing this with Drake May and Joe Milton, where Drake May, I mean, people are acting like he's going to be the third string quarterback between Jacoby Brissett, who's going to start.
Right? Yeah.
Like all indications
it's weirdly the opposite. It's like he took all the hits for Carolina football for some reason, which is not fair.
I mean, I understood the Sam Howell conversation. Sam Howell.
That was based more on his physical.
Sam Howell was running around making Carolina, work offensively, but I could understand why.
Right. There are like physical
there were some
things
red flags for him in the NFL.
For sure.
But I also said his rookie season, given what was going on in Washington, there was no reason for him to not play.
Mm-hmm.
Let him run around. Let him make the mistakes. You might have something there. And I think we kind of understood what Sam Howell is after a season with Washington.
Yeah.
He's a backup quarterback. Cool.
Which is fine. By the way, like a great career path.
Totally cool. With Drake May, it's like, this guy's the real deal. He is essentially Carolina's version of Josh Allen, right? And just in terms of his physicality, how he's built, how he plays, the deep ball, all that stuff.
Just not the completion percentage before you get well, actually.
I know. And my question's always been, if people love Josh Allen so much, well then hell, you should probably love Drake May too, right? But there's this weird pushback, and Joe Milton's, he's like a camp warrior. He's the guy that everybody's talking about. So there was something showed up in Giglio's feed from a guy who's a Tennessee fan. Yeah. He's like, why does the NFL, it was basically this guy and us were Spider-Man pointing meme, where he's like, Joe Milton is a practice all-star. I don't know what it is about Joe Milton versus Air that has people losing their minds. And then you get to those things that Kevin Clark talked about, where people will aggregate one video clip and try to tell you, well, yes, this is the real deal. This is where elite ball placement has become more of a punchline online than it is to mean anything. You'll see Joe Milton will throw a ball. It's a clean pass, clean catch, 7-on-7, and somebody will just go all caps. Look at that ball placement. And it gets aggregated and it becomes this thing. Carolina Panthers dealt with it this week. So it got aggregated that Dave Canales made the offense run laps, extra running. And it was based on that little tidbit.
It's not like they did much running in the game.
Yeah, there's that too. Based on that tidbit, there were countless words written about how the Panthers offense has taken steps back. And this is a problem to look forward to.
We didn't see the Panthers offense.
See it. We didn't see it. So how can you say that's the case?
Now,
so that was Kevin Clark's biggest problem. It's like the aggregation of training camp news has gotten so ridiculous that it's got everybody up at a fever pitch. And as much as I want to combat that, Lauren, all you got to do is pop open Instagram and see a bazillion likes on JJ McCarthy throwing some touch. Okay. But that's the world we live in right now.
I got an alert yesterday, I think it was like, does McCarthy's injury change Minnesota's playoff hopes? I was like, excuse me, what? I was like, wait, I know I'm not like as plugged in with some of these things as I usually am, but I'm also like, I'm like, is there a different, what?
So that the aggregation has gotten us to a point. I think there's finally a pushback on all this aggregation as though it doesn't really mean anything. There's nothing you can extract from this clip that speaks to a larger thing, but there's so much desperate coverage there's so many people desperate for the engagement. And then the engagement
that they want to cater to stupid people.
But they cater
I hate to be rude. I'm just saying.
No, it's a chicken or the egg, right? It's like people blame the aggregators, but people clearly want this stuff. They get fed this stuff. They engage with it. And that's why they go, okay, well, I'm going to go back to the well. But I'm with you. When it comes to things like training camp videos, give me the silly stuff, right?
Yes.
Like here's Dave Canales. The Panthers put this out on Twitter, this morning. And I guess this is from their YouTube show. And head coach joins the rookie talent show all together now. Every little thing is going to be all right.
I'm Dave Canales. I'm the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. No signing bonus. Here we go. Rise up this morning. Okay. Smile at the rising sun. 3 little birds on my doorstep, singing sweet songs, a melody's pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. Somebody sing now. Singing, don't worry about a thing.
So I think that is
not bad. He could keep. He's in tune.
He's not bad. He's not bad. I actually think that's the perfect encapsulation of what we've seen out of Dave Canales so far.
So
this gets us. This
remains
gets
to
us
be
the
seen
Panthers.
if he's right about that.
But that's his general attitude.
Yeah,
he's Mr. Positive. He's Mr. Positive.
Everything's going to be all right. I'm like, sir, you are new here.
Well, yeah. Everything. Hopefully, it's not so much about what's on the football field. Everything's going to be all right until David Tepper knocks on your door and he wants to show you some clip that he saw on the internet about Bryce Young's footwork, and you have to. By the way,
David Tepper almost strikes me as like one of those people that would like see a preseason clip and be like, "Oh, look at that."
We know that's the case. We know that's the case.
It's just here's the thing: we can all fight against like people getting dumber. We can do that. We can do that.
I think it was John Oliver. Who said, "People who complain about how TV used to be back in the day." It's not that TV's gotten worse over time. It's that the people who are watching TV have gotten worse. He's like, the shows weren't better in the 80s. It's just that the viewers were better in the 80s. They weren't doing the well actually thing. They weren't trying to extrapolate some stuff. But specifically to Canales, there's 2 things within Canales right now in the Panthers as we get close to wrapping up the training camp. And they've got 2 more preseason games. There is just the attitude shift that was necessary for the Panthers after the last 2 coaches.
For sure.
I think that's been nailed. I don't think anybody questions the buy-in about Dave Canales and what he's trying to do and changing the attitude in the building.
Yeah. He's got the perfect demeanor for this team.
But as far as the actual execution, I'm going to be really curious to see how they go about handling the next 2 preseason games. So the joint practices. As we were joking about, that's the thing that the coaches are absolutely all in on. They'll tell you they get way more out of these joint practices than they do out of the preseason games. Fine, I'll take them at their word.
I'd love to see that.
I'd like to see it too. It could be something they just tell themselves. I understood why the Panthers kept Bryce Young out of preseason game number 1 because it was an overall decision to just not play your starters. Cool. Preseason game number 1, you want to give the reps to see if you've got a 3rd quarterback, or you want to go 2 quarterbacks and a practice squad guy. There is a method to that. I totally understand. But my concern, as we get closer to the start of the season, it's not like this Panthers team last year gives you any reason to think that preseason reps are unnecessary.
Right. That's my cause for concern. Like, I get why you don't. I get the caution. I do. But at the same time, it's like, how many consequence-free reps is Bryce Young ever going to get?
Put him out there.
Like,
see how it's one of the things where why do you want to start? Again, I understood game one. Dave Canales explained why. There's not a competition. You're trying to get him acclimated to what you want to do and what you want to run. Cool.
But that's the other part.
It's like you got to see another defense.
It's a new system too. It's like, and you've got receivers that are new that you want to develop some chemistry with. It was nice to see Jonathan Mingo still has the dropsies. So that was my fun takeaway. That was the other thing too. Is like, I got to watch them play like garbage, and then I got to watch Mingo drop a ball that's like right in his chest. Steve Smith tried so hard. He was like, I would have liked to see that thrown a little bit. Oh, no, that was literally right to him. I'm so sorry. Like, he tried.
Bless. And
I want better for Mingo, too. I know he wants better for himself.
Bless and Niche and Steve for having to come up with 4 hours of content.
That was the only thing that got me through it. Because he made me laugh so many. The Uber comment about Jack Plummer about having me spit a drink out. I was like.
So for preseason game number 2 against the Jets, which we understand to have a good defense, I would at least play Bryce Young a series.
Yeah.
But the last thing you want is to start this thing off and then like have everything just not.
So 3 plays.
Essentially 3 plays. Yeah, it's going to be a 3 and out. I think we understand that.
Crying.
And then play more in that third preseason game.
Yeah.
This is not a situation where you are going into a season knowing what you have and you're trying to preserve guys. And even to that extent,
right?
We're seeing teams that actually have like legit Hall of Famers on their squad and they're playing preseason games.
Right.
So.
Yeah, like you were saying, Mahomes is playing. I'm like, why?
Why would he? Well,
actually,
him and Xavier Worthy, they got to get that chemistry to replace Tyreek Hill for another season, right?
To be honest, though, I feel like that bothers me almost more than like Bryce not playing.
What?
Mahomes playing.
Mahomes playing?
What if he got hurt in a preseason game?
You could get hurt in practice, as we're seeing. I mean, there's a lot of concern. I was reading Mike Kay, the Charlotte Observer, and they were going down the list of offensive linemen that they're worried about.
You're right.
Xavier Leggett, he hasn't practiced in a bit, and that's all happening in training camp.
That's happened in training camp.
So this whole concern of, well, what if they get hurt in the preseason? They can get hurt today.
I think it just almost feels like this forced extra thing that no one should have to do, and I think that's why it bothers people. That's why it bothers me.
That makes sense.
Because then I have to sit and watch the whole thing and talk about it, and I just think it's stupid.
That's fair. Big thanks to Hometown Realty for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. Check them out, myhtr.com. As I was joking with Lauren earlier about Sedgefield, there's some really nice homes out on that course.
Yeah,
some
especially
gorgeous.
right by like the clubhouse and stuff. It's like the one across the street. It's like
that one's really nice. That was really
looks
nice.
Looks like a house from a movie.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
And I saw some for sale signs. Yeah, maybe you're looking to upgrade. Maybe you're looking to buy into Sedgefield. Contact My Hometown Realty. They can help you out with that. myhtr.com, especially with a lot of the new construction that is out there. Big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer online, wh.lawyer, attorneys and counselors at law. Let's say you bought that house, you refinance. I know rates are coming down a little bit. You might be curious about refinancing. You got to take it to closing. Well, Whitaker and Hamer can handle those types of things for you. It is a one-stop shop for all your legal needs. Check them out, wh.lawyer. Went to Longleaf Swine on Sunday. Took my dad there for the first time. Actually ran
for the first time? Really? I'm surprised.
Ran into Ken and Ashley as well while we were at Longleaf. And my dad, of course, he wanted the barbecue sandwich and things like that. But I'm like, Dad, cool. The barbecue sandwich is good, but have you had the chicharrones appetizer? No, what? They got that. Burgers, the kids devoured those. The brunch, don't sleep on the brunch. We've talked a lot about their dinners. They've got great dinners. But on Sundays, they got these brunches. They've got they got a brisket breakfast burrito, which is off the charts delicious. The breakfast burger, where they put a fried egg on top of that with bacon, is fantastic. All those things at Longleaf, you can check them out. Longleafswine.com is the website. Also, big thanks to Two Roosters. Let's say you go to the Longleaf Swine to grab dinner. Oh, Two Roosters right up the way on Person Street. There's locations all across the triangle. Check them out online, tworoosters.com. Giglio informed me about some secret ice cream of the month club that you can't talk about. It's like Fight Club.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't know how you get into it. He
I
wouldn't
know.
divulge those secrets to me, but I know. Ask around next
Okay.
time you go to a Two Roosters. Check them out online, tworoosters.com. New flavors every month. And I got to get my hands on that peanut butter cookie that everybody keeps talking about.
What?
Yeah, there's a peanut butter cookie there. Also, don't sleep on their dairy-free, gluten-free options too.
For sure.
Like I had the dairy-free, gluten-free cookies and cream. It's excellent.
Yeah, that's solid.
It's really, really good.
Yeah, that's really good.
It's excellent. So go check them out. tworoosters.com. It's been a while since you've done the podcast with me. Are you familiar with the lightning round?
Whatever. Not quite, maybe. I also am very forgetful. So
That's true.
Just remind me, please. It's good. I like that.
That's Bruce's
Yeah.
Lucky Town.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, you got that one?
Yeah.
You got that one? Okay, we did that for Joe. Brian did a good job with that one with Joe. Over to, speaking of camps, the Carolina Tar Heels continue to go through their fall camp. We keep hearing about the quarterbacks. They have not made a decision, but based on somebody reaching out to me telling me I was full of crap when it came to Jacoby Criswell, and based on Adam Smith's most recent update on Inside Carolina, it looks like it's now a 2-quarterback competition for the start of the season. It's Max Johnson and Connor Harrell. We shall see where it goes. Jacoby Criswell, who I'm still fascinated by because of the way Matt Brown talks about Jacoby Criswell.
Yeah.
I still think
he's always said positive things about him. Yeah.
I still think he's more in the mix than Mac Brown might be indicating. But okay, cool. Whatever. Max Johnson, Connor Harrell. I just keep coming back to with things being as competitive as they are, and given that there's no obvious answer, and given, lastly, what they have weapons-wise, including Amari and Hampton, I think it truly does change what exactly we're looking for out of the Carolina Tar Heels quarterback this year. And if it's about putting the ball in the best position for your playmakers, Max Johnson might be that guy.
Although it was interesting, they did like a list of like the receivers with the best odds to lead the league in receiving or something like that. I don't know if you saw that. And I didn't see a Carolina receiver on there. I was like, oh, wow, it's that. Things are that dark right now that they don't even have a receiver like listed on this huge, like one of those big Vegas lists of like all, like they got guys from Cal, from State, Clemson, all. I'm like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah. So that's the update on the quarterback situation in Carolina. It's still up in the air, but it looks like it's coming down between Max Johnson and Connor Harrell. We shall see.
We've got a lot to get to. It's a lightning round.
Now, outside the ACC, or outside UNC, the ACC is dealing with another round of disrespect. Our friend Eric McElwain deleted a tweet. He was retweeting Heather Dinich talking about Clemson. So the AP Top 25 came out this week.
Yeah.
Preseason Top 25. Florida State's 10. I think Clemson ended up showing up like 14 or 15. I don't have it in front of me, but they're in the middle of the
Sounds
group.
about right.
It sounds about right. And that was my thought too. That sounds about right for Clemson.
Yeah.
It was a talented group. Defense should be good. There are some questions around Cade Klubnik. Yeah. Cool. And Heather Dinich took the questions around the offense to question their placement in the AP Top 25, to which, of course, Eric McElwain, who deleted the tweet, was like, this is trash. Why are we doing this? And we have now kickstarted. ACC is mad at everybody for the disrespect.
But look, sorry, he's got a point. Like, what? Why are we complaining about this? Every year, some Big Ten or SEC team is overrated. Do we ever hear people, the national media, like gnashing their teeth or whatever? And I don't even think they're overrated. Like, that's the thing. What's the problem with that placement? I don't understand.
I really do think that's a proper placement for Clemson.
So when you do that and people already think that you have it out for...
So this is the interesting part.
People are sensitive. I get it. I'm sensitive.
This was on First Take.
At me.
This was First Take.
No, don't at me.
This was First Take yesterday. Paul Finebaum was on, and this got put out on social media. Finebaum believes FSU will finish unranked.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe,
here's what he's got to say.
Which current top 10 team will finish the season unranked?
Florida State. First of all, they have no business being in the top 10. They have a difficult schedule. They have Florida State has Miami and Notre Dame. within a 3-week period on the road. They end the season with Florida, which is a debatable team. But I think they're going to get caught in the run.
Okay, so hold on.
Debatable team.
Hold on.
You just said they have a tough schedule and then took a dump on it. Which also, by the way, is exactly the double speak that we get so tired of. Your team sucks, your schedule sucks, but your schedule's actually too good for you to be good. What?
So here's the funny part. I really think that all Paul Finebaum was doing was just leading up to his actual joke. There's a wind up and then the pitch.
Okay.
So I think there's the wind up for Florida State to get to the pitch. Here's Paul.
Run-of-the-mill ACC game this year, which they did not encounter last year. They lost the guts of their defense. They have a quarterback who has certainly been around and remains a question mark. And I think they also have a hangover. I think they used up too many tears crying about not getting in the playoffs, and that may slow them down a little bit this year.
Which current top 10 team?
Bro, really?
How many times do you think Paul Finebaum looked in the mirror and practiced that line before he went on First Take?
Yeah, so much so that almost everything he said leading up to it was like contradicting itself. Like he kept right. Like I'm not wrong, am I? He was basically like, they can't be good because their schedule's too good. Then talked about how everyone on their schedule sucks.
Yeah.
Then talked about they had a quarterback that's been around for a while. Question mark. What? Which is it?
I don't know which one it is. He just wanted to get to his joke that they're going to be a little slowed down from all the tears they've been crying about the college football playoff. Yeah. But Elliot,
it's a great look, by the way, to mock that.
Of course.
That really helps ACC people that are already concerned that everyone hates them irrationally think that they don't.
So Bud Elliott, Cover 3 podcast, CBS, tweeted this out. For the last month, Finebaum has been exclusively taking shots at teams to which ESPN does not have the rights.
Uh-huh.
And in recent days, FSU and Clemson. Paul knows something. Of course, that's Bud constantly trying to find ways to make sure Florida State gets out of the ACC. So I don't think that has anything to do with it. And then he continues, or has ESPN tightened the clamps on criticizing the SEC? I don't think it's any of that. I think it's just
Paul's
knows.
never done that anyway.
Paul's critical of the SEC when it's time to be critical of the SEC.
Yeah.
I think what it just kind of comes down to is that Paul is clearly trolling other teams because that's what he's really, really good at.
Right,
I don't say that as a knock. He's just really good at it.
Well, he needs to step it up because this is kind of weak.
But to your point, this is always going to be the issue for how people, fans, coaches, administrators interpret what ESPN is doing with the ACC. And it all comes down to the fact that the face of the SEC network, Paul Finebaum, who's also positioned as a college football insider analyst, goes out of his way to make fun of the top teams in other leagues, specifically the ACC, because he knows that it gets a rise out of people. I said this back when Clemson was running hot. What I always found funny about Finebaum is that he spent more time talking about Clemson than he did other teams in the SEC.
Yeah.
And the reason why he spent that amount of time talking about Clemson
because they were a threat
was twofold. One is, yes, they were viewed as a threat. And if you want to get all the SEC people around you, you can coalesce them around the idea that Clemson is overrated, that Clemson is going to fall off, that Clemson is not a threat. Or you can also take credit for Clemson. I don't really view, this is something that was said once, by the way. I don't really view Clemson as an ACC school. They're actually the most SEC-like school in the ACC.
Once it became inarguable, then you have to shift it to that narrative.
You shift it in that, they're an outlier in the ACC. Clemson doesn't really give you any indication of how good that league is, because if you really think about it, they're more like an SEC team that happens to reside in the ACC. That's the level of line and shifting. So Florida State has now taken that new spot for Clemson, for Paul Finebaum, because he knows that he can get the Florida, we're talking about the Knowles.
Because they had the audacity to be mad about what was ridiculous. Sorry, I still think that.
They had the audacity to be mad at something that never would have happened in the SEC. Because if you roll reverse, when Curtis...
Literally. That's the only, if you just literally shift the conference affiliation and nothing else.
Yes.
Correct.
If this were, if they decided, if Georgia were in a similar situation...
There's no way they wouldn't get in.
No
chance.
They're in.
They're already in. Yep.
And if, let's say they're not in, don't you think the expanded college football playoff would have happened sooner rather than later?
Exactly.
So, look, this is the same league, the SEC, that was mad that the ACC was taking credit for Clemson and Notre Dame being in the college football playoff the one year that
That
Notre Dame was a member of the ACC as
Right.
a full-time
It's not-
football member.
To be fair to the ACC,
They got mad at that.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. Like they played in the league.
They played in the league.
They're not playing in it now, which is why the ACC would no longer take credit for it because they're not. I mean, they play a lot of games, but that's not the same thing.
So,
Which we all understand because we're not stupid.
so back to the original point when it comes to Finebaum. That is the reason why people are upset. But I will still push back on the idea that the ACC...
Don't be upset. That's what he wants.
He wants that. But I understand why the ACC, people within the ACC are upset that they allow Paul Finebaum to go on and trash
Well, especially
another team
by
that's
the way,
in their league.
it's right on the heels of the Lenardi situation.
Pretty much.
And like at least Finebaum is troll by nature. So like
Yeah,
it kind of comes with the territory. Whereas Lenardi is just supposed to be talking to you about the bracket, not like dunking on team social media accounts on Twitter. You know what I mean? And like making fun of, you know what I mean? Like that's not what he's supposed to be doing. He's not supposed to be Finebombing.
No.
But he did about the ACC because he felt like he could. Why is that?
Don't take the Finebaum bait, y'all.
Maybe because
It's a lightning round. It's the lightning round.
We are not done with the Olympics. There's actually one controversy that has spilled into the week.
I'm so...
And that is about Jordan Childs, gymnast.
Yeah.
Getting a bronze medal and then having that bronze medal taken away.
It's so stupid.
So the Court of Arbitration for Sport denied USA Gymnastics' effort to restore her bronze. And their argument is, well, the rules are the rules. And when it goes to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, there is no appeal. That is the final decision. So this is from the Washington Post, who probably did the best summary of what's been going on if you're not quite familiar with what's going on with Childs.
I am.
So Childs had a last-minute score change, again, directly from the Washington Post, bumped her from 5th to 3rd. The coach of USA Gymnastics filed an inquiry after her score was posted.
I was glad they did that because that score was ridiculous. And I'm not an expert, but even I was like, no.
I want to get back to that. When the judges reevaluated her routine, Childs' score increased by 0.1 point. She was the final athlete to compete, and the adjustment moved her into the bronze medal position. Childs left the arena with a bronze medal. The Romanian Gymnastics Federation made an appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. The court ruled that the inquiry that benefited Childs had been filed after the 1-minute deadline, thus rendering the inquiry invalid. The time that they went over was 4 seconds.
And USA submitted a video, they were saying, that said that with evidence timestamped that they did it at 47 seconds.
47 seconds.
Yep.
But because they didn't have that evidence in time for the Court of Arbitration for Sport, the ruling stays the ruling.
Okay.
That's all part of the rules.
Did you hear who the head of the court? Are you getting to that? Okay.
You could get to that, actually. It's
Romanian.
Right.
Cool.
Right. So
why can't they just both have one, by the way? I don't understand.
Well, I think the reason why is, I think we learn this every 4 years.
Like there was a screw up. She literally was on the podium. Like just give them both one. I think they both earned it, to be honest.
So that's the part that I'm having a hard time processing. I think Sally Jenkins wrote about this in the Washington Post as well.
I'm not giving it back if I'm Jordan Childs. What are you going to do?
Well, Flavor Flav actually is going to come up with a custom bronze medal for her. Apparently.
Love that was nice.
I love that Flavor Flav has been just all in on this kind of stuff. Snoop Dogg's there. It's all great.
It was
I love
awesome.
This. The Olympics has done co-medal winners before after these kinds of decisions.
Yes.
I think a couple of years ago, they had, if I remember correctly, they gave out multiple over a screw up. They admitted, this got screwed up.
Just do that.
Here you go. You get a bronze, you get a bronze, you get a bronze.
By the way, the Romanian was also great. Like I thought she got scored too low as well. I was like, what's going on here?
So I'm not
the
quite
sure. The 4 judges had a problem that day.
Not quite sure why they're deciding no bronze for you rather than just like, you both get it. It's a 0.1 differential. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But what I find most interesting is that we are reminded once again that the Olympics are not the ones who actually have the rules for the various events.
Right.
It's the federations that run the rules and have their judges, and they just do it under the umbrella of the Olympics.
And look, they've made a lot of positive changes. I think, honestly, the floor for me, again, I'm not, and I'm going based on what they're saying too.
Oh,
I'm
Lauren,
going
you're
based
just
on
like you're just like every other
I
Olympics
love
watcher.
gymnastics though. I watch every single second of women's gymnastics, especially. I try with the men's. I think their events are too weird. I don't like it.
You're like every other Olympics watcher where we're watching it and we think that, oh my goodness, that was amazing. And then you hear, oh, well, they're going to get a deduction.
Ghost deductions was what Lori Hernandez was talking a lot about. Those ghost deductions, you know, those little breaks in form and whatever. Cool. But like, they were like, oh, this will be X, this will be Y. Like they were good at telling us how many points would be off and what the base level score was. And you're seeing and you're like, what? Like, I don't know. Like when we first saw her score, I was like, and they were saying there was an element that they had not given her credit for, which is what the appeal was over. But when you see a replay of that, you're like, why didn't she get credit for that exactly? Yeah. Like it looks pretty clear that she did it. So I don't understand what's going, like they had a bad day that day, but every other event I actually felt like made sense judging wise and like score wise. There really weren't a whole lot of other scores for me that I was like, what? You know what I mean? Whereas we've seen some real, fuckery in the Olympics before.
I mean, we have, and that's the thing.
And they made some good changes, I think, overall, but this one was a mess.
But that's always going to be the case.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with actual human judges, you're going to deal with that kind of weird stuff. And you're also going to deal with the organizations that are in charge of these various sports. It's not the Olympics. I mean, we saw this with boxing, right? Mm-hmm. And people were pointing out this one organization said this for this particular boxer. Y'all know who I'm talking about. But the Olympics, the corrupt Olympics, okay? The corrupt IOC, we all understand. Just go Google it. There's a endless Wikipedia page about all the ways in which the IOC is corrupt, okay? Bribes, all that kind of stuff.
100%.
When they think you're full of shit,
when they take a moral stand on your organization,
then you're in a bad spot.
Good.
Okay? Yeah. So that was always the thing that I found kind of funny. I'm like, when the corrupt folks think you're too corrupt,
that's a red flag.
That's a huge red flag on this one. But this is the Olympics. This is unfortunately what we kind of sign up for. And I'm sure when we're in the United States, I mean, heck, people were convinced that the Olympics were rigged for basketball because, oh, look at that. Team USA is taking on France in the Paris Olympics.
Well, hello. Do we not look? If you think Duke gets the calls at Cameron, y'all don't understand the home team at the Olympics thing. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's not. It's a thing.
It is absolutely.
I'm not saying French basketball. The France team was excellent in both men's and women's. I'm not saying that they like didn't earn it or anything. Yeah. They didn't just get put there, but that team's getting the calls. Period. Yeah. Like that's just the way it's going to go. That's rule.
Big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority for being a corporate champion. Check them out online, bugsbite.com. The weather has been gross for a variety of reasons. Tropical depressions, all the rain, all those things that are coming through, combined with the heat, you're going to get an increase in bugs, roaches, ants. Bugsbite.com, Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority can help you out with that. Also, big thanks to the Butcher's Market. Tailgating season is right around the corner. You can get all your tailgating needs from the Butcher's Market. You're just looking for something simple like steak tips to throw up on the grill, burgers, they got that. You want to get really involved, get that big old Boston butt, they can do that for you as well. It is a Butcher's Market. You're looking for a specific cut of meat, they got that for you. It is a one-stop shop. We love the Butcher's Market. You will too. Check them out online, thebutchersmarkets.com. Also, big thanks to Nature's Relief, naturesreliefhempstore.com. RELEAF hempstore.com. I actually went this week to the Western Boulevard location. I had to re-up on my sleep CBD CBN.
Okay.
I've had active brain at night, having a hard time falling asleep. Absolutely helps out. But while I was there, I was asking some questions because that's what you do when you're at Nature's Relief.
Yes.
I was like, hey, edibles.
What do you think?
What's the hot seller right now? Like, what's the thing that people are really into right now?
Okay.
And they guided me over to this company. They're like, this is probably the best thing you can get in states like North Carolina. And it's this hybrid THCA. It was a gelato flavor of a gummy.
You're getting so fancy with the flavors of these.
25 milligrams.
Yeah.
And of course, when they said 25 milligrams per gummy, I went, whoa, let's slow up here. Like, yeah, we suggest you start, cutting it in half or whatever. So I cut it in half. Took it at like 8:00 last night.
Okay.
And let me put it this way. There was a reason, tying back to the start of this conversation. There was a reason why I went down a music rabbit hole on YouTube.
Oh, that's the best. Yeah.
And because the gummies had kicked in, and I was like, yeah, I want to watch this show. Okay, let me go watch this concert. Oh, remember this? And I somehow ended up on, again, showing Caleb, old concert footage from the day. I said, I saw 1989 MTV Spring Break Daytona.
What?
Yes.
1989?
1989.
See, because obviously I wasn't watching that live back then
No.
because I was too young. So I would have been really curious to see that, actually.
So I had two immediate takeaways. One is, why does everybody's in college for spring break.
Everybody looks old, right?
Why does everybody look old?
So old. And everyone has a perm?
The
all
hair
the girls,
was all the Aquanet was just the feathered bangs, all that.
Everybody looks like 20 years older than they are.
All the dudes had mullets. I saw a lot of the Oakley, Pit Viper type shades, the wraparounds, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Tone Loc was one of the artists. Cheap Trick was one of the artists.
Tone Loc,
yeah.
Cheap Trick,
I
cool.
think Def Leppard showed up at some point. So yeah, Spring Break 1989 Daytona.
Oh, man.
And then I found Spring Break Lake Havasu when they went out that way. And they had a performance from Biggie on a houseboat. So yeah, anyway, long story short, that's the journey that the half the 25 milligram gummies from Nature's Relief product took me on.
You on. Yes.
That's I'm just telling you my journey last night. You might have a different journey. Same. Big thanks to Roback. You can go on a journey of wonderfully comfortable polos. Check them out, roback.com. Use that promo code OG20. If you want to be a lady of leisure at Sedgefield, you can find what you're looking for at Roback. If you just want to rock the hottest polo on the golf course, they've got that for you as well. Check them out, roback.com. Use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. Looking forward to seeing them at the OG Golf Tournament. We're going to have a lot of goodies there that you can try on. It'll be a lot of fun. All right, let's get out of here on some Hey Joe. I have one listener, William, who has been sending me YouTubes of, so quick context. We somehow earlier in the summer got into a dumb bluegrass covers rabbit hole. Speaking of music rabbit holes.
Was that also because of Nature's Relief?
No, that was not because of Nature's Relief. It has something.
Just feels like something that would happen on.
It has more to do with my dislike of bluegrass covers. And
interesting.
So folks have been sending me bluegrass covers of the most ridiculous thing that you can find. So far, bluegrass covers of Jimmy Buffett have been the only thing that ultimately worked.
Oh, interesting.
That's the only thing that worked. Okay. And then the worst thing that I've ever seen was a bluegrass cover of Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. The worst thing. Ugh. The worst thing. Why ruin an incredible song? So you don't like Gin and Juice? No. But I don't like
that's the only one I kind of like because it makes me laugh.
I don't like Gin and Juice mainly because I had to play that Gord's version on WKNC all the time.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, it was popular. Right?
That and the, I think it was called The Uninvited. There was a song called Too High for the Supermarket. So I'd always get some dude to call if I was working the afternoon shift around 4:15. Hey, man, can you play Too High for the Supermarket? Yeah, okay, I get it. So William has sent me the next evolution of these bluegrass things.
Okay.
And it is AI-generated cat musicians doing cat-related bluegrass songs.
Oh, no.
I'm not making this up. So this is called Time to Clean the Litter Box by Tack Budley and the Wayland Kitten Raggedy Bunch. I'm not making this up. Here's the song.
My pappy, he done taught me to cover up my waist. Don't leave it there for all the...
That's enough.
Okay.
That's enough. Are you familiar with this AI music trend?
I don't want to. I just...
People have been putting together a variety of parody songs based on a particular style. Like I've heard a doo-wop version of a raunchy song that they just kind of came up with the lyrics and whatnot. That might actually be the worst thing that I've ever seen. AI is going to ruin everything.
I was going to say, like, my biggest issue with AI is anytime it's used in any kind of creative endeavor.
And who is this for exactly? Who is the market for AI generated cat images doing bluegrass songs about cleaning the litter box?
Again,
who's that for?
I just want everyone to know we can fight against this thing where everyone is trying to make us more dumb.
Even
we don't have to be more dumb.
Even Giglio's getting duped by AI fakes. He sent me this yesterday. He's like, here's the kind of cover you'll like. A Tejano version of Wanna Be a Baller.
Wanna be a baller, shot caller, 28 play, on a baller, caller.
That's also
I'm upset
AI.
by that. I'm upset by that. Is someone trying to make people feel bad
I don't know.
by making
I don't
that?
know.
That was upsetting.
And we'll get out of here on this. Our friend James Curl noticed this while listening to a variety of podcasts. He had pointed out podcasting in 2011. I think I'll create a show on my laptop where I record a conversation with my friends. And not to actually, James, but this goes all the way back to 2005. Like, this is get a laptop and talk to my friends.
Probably just James's frame.
But I think in James's frame of reference, that's what it is. But that's what it is. That was podcasting in general. Podcasting in 2024. And he plays this clip from WikiHole with Darcy Carden. I'm a big fan of Darcy Carden. She's great. And it's from Smartless Media. And this is how it goes.
WikiHole is a Smartless Media aggregate and radio point production. Created by Richard Corson, hosted by Darcy Carden, that's me, produced by Alex Bach, Emma Ho, Taylor Kowalski, and Megan O'Neill. Our talent producer is Ann Harris. Our director is Megan O'Neill. Our writers are Megan O'Neill and Harris Mayerson. Our show is engineered and edited by Ian Sorrentino at Little Bear Audio. Our associate producer is Maddie McCann. Theme music by 21 South Music. Sound services provided by Radio Point. Executive producers are Will Arnett, Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, Richard Corson, Bernie Kaminsky, Michael Costigan, and Houston Snyder.
P.S. I listen to so many podcasts that like half those names were like, oh yeah, I've heard that name.
Oh, you know those people?
So I know of them. Like, I've heard the names before. I fast forward through a lot of those usually, but like, yeah, it's like listening to a podcast nowadays is like so much. And like so much goes into it.
So Al Hood, who does Tar Heel Blog, he also is contributing to Canes Country, suggested that we should start doing show credits for this podcast where you do all those things and just say our names. So, talent producer, Joe Ovies and Joe Giglio.
Just give yourself like random titles.
Writers, Joe Giglio. And I forgot who else chimed in. It's like, no, what you need to do is do the exact same outro with credits, but then get your names wrong every time.
Oh, yeah.
Executive producer, Joe Ovies. Talent coordinator, Giggles. We could just do something like that. Maybe that's what we end up doing for all the things.
Or you could just say like Joe for every single one of them.
Maybe that's the case. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the podcast. It was written and produced by Joe Ovies. Talent coordinator, Lauren Brownlow.
Oh, thank you.
Executive producer, that Brownlow lady.
Wow, thank you. That's a lot of authority for me.
Sound and engineering done by Joe Ovies. Yellow Pad done by Joe Giglio. Graphics. Oh, there's something that's not us. Graphics. Anna over at Sound Off. Music by Brian Shaw at Nice Price.
You could be like visual and lighting effects, Joe Ovies.
No, lighting effects goes to Ethan Hyman, News and Observer.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Ethan.
Ethan.
He was the one who put the lights up.
Oh, that makes sense.
So,
of course.
again,
Ethan's the best.
I am not.
Look at that. You just gave it a credit. There
I just want to be clear. I'm not making, it's not that I'm hating. I just think it's funny that podcasts have gotten to the point where you have a
credits
44-second clip of credits.
And by the way, that's short. I've heard longer. I'm not joking.
That's insane to me.
Yeah.
And thanks to Blue Wire for being our syndication partner here on Ovies and Giglio. We'll see you Thursday, 1:00 from Happy and Hale off of Six Forks.